Welcome to the Word for the Week. I'm going through a new series and talking about what do you pray for during these times where you're stuck at home. Romans 8:26 tells us, "For we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit intercedes for us with groans that are too deep for words." I want to give you prayers that the Spirit has already put into His Word in the Psalms, and I want you, if you can memorize some of these phrases. These are words, these are prayers that you can pray throughout the whole course of the day, and hopefully this will be something that you'll find helpful when you just don't know what to say. God has already told us what to say in the Psalms. So we're looking at Psalm 46 today. And the situation for this would have been, imagine you're in Jerusalem. It looks like that Jerusalem is under siege. There's a war going on, and you can imagine the people of Jerusalem holed up behind the city walls, wondering, God, where are you? How are you going to help through this? So Psalm 46 starts off and says this: God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth gives way. And so the question we're asking today is, in what ways is God helping? And we're going to look at two major themes today. The first theme is that God helps through chaos. Back to verse 2, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling, there is a river whose streams make glad the city of God. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when the morning dawns. There's a contrast of water and peaceful water going on here. A roaring sea on one side, the river of God on the other side. And what we find is three levels of meaning of what this possibly could signify. Number one, water could simply mean that's just physical water, and God is helping in the midst of natural disaster. Number two, water here could mean chaos. And where we get that is that in Genesis chapter 1, you see that when God first created the earth, He created it full of water. It didn't have land at first. And so water in the Jewish scriptures came to signify a world that was in turmoil. And the third meaning, and you kind of see this a little bit with meaning number two, not only is it just chaos, but water could easily mean death. When we see how heaven is described in Revelation, it talks about a river flowing through from the throne. But then the next that we see is that God can also help through war. And especially, I think this is a wartime psalm. Verse 6 says, the nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters His voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Circle that phrase because it appears a second time at the end, and that's the structure of the psalm. Verse 9, He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. And then it ends with verse 10 and 11. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. There's seismologists that have noticed a substantial drop in activity that they can see physically with their seismographs due to coronavirus and the shutdown. What's happening all around the world is that as the world is shutting down, you can see it physically that there is less vibrations in the earth. But for you, what we can pray throughout the rest of the day is memorize Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am Lord. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. And I want you, as you're praying this, that you would pray for the world to know that God would be exalted. That as the world is physically being still, that they would come to know Jesus. That perhaps even yourself, you could see that even in your life, your own personal seismograph would slow down and quiet down so that you would know that the Lord is God, that He is with you. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you on Sunday.